Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campea Show, we take time to take some live questions, but we don't always have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure if you sent in those questions, they get answered properly in a video, so I gather them up and we address them here on companion videos. So let's not waste any time and dive right into it. And the first question we're going to start getting caught up on here comes to us from Jeffrey Podolsky, who writes, I agree with you regarding Joker. On top of that, the entire Purge franchise came out since the Colorado shootings. If anything glorifies violence, I mean, no, look, and you're absolutely right, Jeffrey. And that's the thing. Art is not there to be our moral guides. Art is there to be art. And if you want to say that, oh my gosh, a certain movie is going to glorify violence, why was there no complaints about John Wick? I mean, if anything was going to glorify violence, it's John Wick, the hero going around racking up hundreds of murders, right? I mean, so the Purge, lots of other stuff like that. So I agree with you, Jeffrey. Anyway, Raymond Verrata writes, which celebrity voice do you want on Alexa? So we talked about this morning. Samuel L. Jackson is putting out, there's going to be an Alexa voice for Samuel L. Jackson. He's doing it, which is hilarious. I think if I had to get one, and it could be anybody, it would be probably James Earl Jones. I think I would love a James Earl Jones voice on my Alexa. I think that would be amazing. All right. Iggy Riaz writes, one of two. Ended up weeping for 2 minutes when I got home after a movie. It hit me hard. The journey of a man who's broken, finally forced to look at himself, his past, his future, in a sci-fi rescue movie. Ad Astra is 4.5 out of 5. Stories about the burden that children carry into adulthood from parents. Hits me hard. Art is subjective to its viewer. And here's the funny, this is how true that is, Iggy. This is the funny thing about that movie. I agree. I did not like the movie. I think it's dull, boring, and I could never watch it again. And yet I agree with everything you said. That's the funny thing. This was a movie. This is what I said when I came out of it. It's a movie with high stakes. It asks deep philosophical questions, both on a universal level and on a personal level. It has all the pieces there. Like everything you just said, I agree with. About a broken man forced to look at himself through the relationship with his father, the burden that a child carries along from his parents. Well, all those pieces are there. I am 100% in agreement with you. I just find the way I didn't feel like they put the pieces together properly. I felt like they presented these great building blocks that they had that you just so eloquently described. I just feel like they put the building blocks together in such a way that was dull and dreary and boring and difficult to sit through. But that's the thing. That's how it struck me. How it struck you was very different. And that's the beautiful thing about movies, is just because one person doesn't get something out of a certain movie doesn't mean another person can't get something beautiful out of it. I thought it was a wasted opportunity. They had all these great building blocks, but it was just put together in an insufferably dull way. But you watched it and had a totally different experience with it. And that's a testimony to the amazing nature of the art of filmmaking. And I'm glad you had a good time, Iggy. I wish my experience was the same as yours. I wish we had the same one, but I'm glad you enjoyed it nonetheless. All right. BMC writes, love the new Irishman trailer. What do you think? I didn't love it, but it is better than the first one. And I gotta at least say I'm more intrigued by the film now. I've been in this weird place about Irishman. Anyway, this new trailer's not bad. The new trailer's not bad. Nicholas Zolezi writes, Chris Carr voice speed round, please. Chris Carr is amazing, isn't he? I should get her to do a bunch of her voices someday on the show from her animated stuff. Tristan Riera writes, hey, John, I discovered a superhero-themed RPG, Mutants and Masterminds. The system seems to be a mix of D&D and Star Wars D6. Can't wait to try it with my friends. By the way, any news about your Star Wars D6 show? There's not going to be a Star Wars D6 show. I thought about it. I talked to my players about it, like the other people who play the game with me, and I brought it up, and I asked them, hey, guys, what do you think about us either live streaming our game, our Star Wars game, or recording and putting it on? And there was some apprehension. I think, and I get it, because these people aren't YouTube personalities. Well, one of them is, but they just want to get together without any pressure and play a game and have fun. They don't want to be worried about, you know, oh, am I going to say something that's going to, are people going to call me names online? Are people not going to like something I do or make fun of me and blah, blah, blah? And it's like, oh yeah, They don't want that pressure. They just want to get together and play a game. Now, for somebody like me and like Chris, who's totally used to being on camera on YouTube in front of, a ton of people, that's not a big deal. But for other people who don't do that, that's an issue. So probably not going to happen. Maybe someday, if I get a game group together, people who are more comfortable with that, maybe we'll do it sometime. I remember there was a superhero role-playing game I used to play a lot, and I loved it. It was called DC Heroes, and it was based in the DC world, but it was a terrific system. The D6 system of Star Wars is amazing. It's my favorite game system ever. But I'll tell you what, for those of you who remember it, the DC Heroes system, it was based on D10, so 10-sided dice. It was awesome. I really liked that system too. It was a very intuitive system, and I dug it a great deal. But that was a superhero role-playing game I used to play a lot of. The Cost writes, in my country, we have 12 p.m. Wednesday screenings. Really? I mean, that just goes to show us, Cost, that in different countries, we got different ways of doing things. All right, Sam Fisher writes, Aaron, it was weird to watch All Rise now that I, quote unquote, know you, as opposed to other work you've done like Spartacus. You know what, Sam? I can attest to that because it's different. Like, it's weird. I saw Heroes with Milo Ventimiglia. This is just an example. And then I met Milo Ventimiglia. And then whenever I saw Milo Ventimiglia in something after that, it's like, it's a different thing, right? It's a different sort of thing. So, you've seen Erin Cummings on other things before, but now that she's a part of a show that you're a part of every day, it's kind of different than watching her pop up on a CBS show and stuff like that. I can totally attest to that. I totally relate with that. And we're just like, we're going to miss her around here. For those of you who didn't see the John Campea Show live this morning, Erin was on, but it was going to be her last appearance for the next 3 to 4 weeks because we're not allowed to say which show it is, but she just booked another show. So she's already finished all of her shooting for All Rise. She's going to be on a couple of episodes this season, but she's already done all of her shooting. She's finished the shooting she needs to do for her Lucifer appearance. Erin's going to be in Lucifer the final season. And then just last night, she got a hold of me and she said, I just landed a role in X show. And she's going to be going away for 3 to 4 weeks to shoot her parts for that show. So she's going to be gone for a little while, but she'll be back in about a month. So don't worry about that. All right. Next up, the Cost writes, Joker is coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. out in my country. That's great. Now, we talked about that a little bit this morning, too, that especially with comic book movies, we're noticing more and more, a lot of these movies are now opening in other countries a day before, a couple of days before, sometimes a week before, sometimes 2 weeks before they open here in North America. I think a part of that strategy is to build word of mouth around the globe to kind of hopefully build up the opening weekend here in North America, but it's kind of cool that we're seeing that balance out a bit. Jesse writes, damn, I loved Robbie Rhea's Ghost Rider and was looking forward to the series. Hopefully we'll see him pop up again somewhere. So for those of you who missed the news this morning, it's been announced that Ghost Rider series with Gabriel Luna, who was going to reprise his role as Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that he was going to have his own standalone series on Hulu. That has now been axed. Hulu and the producers of the show came to what they're calling creative differences. They couldn't get on the same page, which, why didn't you first understand if you were on the same page or not before you started? Like, before you made the announcement to the world that we're doing this, why didn't you make sure you were on the same page then? But, as happens in creative circles, sometimes you get moving creatively and you start to go in different directions. So it is too bad. But listen, they didn't discount the possibility that they may shop the series to another network. So who knows? Maybe we see Ghost Rider pop up on another network somewhere. It's absolutely possible. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, Jay Boogie writes, did Apple win the streaming war by bundling Apple TV with every new Apple device, which is easily 100 million subscribers in the first year? Well, first of all, Apple's not selling 100 million devices in a year. So let's be clear about that. No, I mean, it's a smart move on their part. It is a smart move on their part. How many people will actually sign up for the service? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, theoretically, you're supposed to get a free membership when you buy a new Apple device. I just bought a new Apple device. I bought the new iPad Pro, but I didn't get So I don't know what is there some kind of hoop I have to jump through? Because I'm one of those people. I bought a new Apple device. I don't know that I have. I didn't get anything in the email about registering for my free Apple Plus. We'll have to see. But, the thing is, though, Apple Plus will be available on anything that's an Apple device. But then again, Disney Plus, all that kind of stuff, it's all going to be available on devices people have at home already. It'll be available on Apple TV. It'll be available on Roku, which is better, by the way. Roku is better than Apple TV. It just is. I've had them both for a long time, and I've stopped using my Apple TV. But I get ahead of myself. The Rokus are great. Smart. It's going to be on smart TVs. It's going to be on your game systems. It's going to be everywhere. So it's going to be everywhere too. So no, Apple did not win anything, but it was a very smart move on their part if it actually happens. Because like I said, I bought a device and I still haven't heard anything about it, but maybe I'm doing something wrong, which wouldn't be the first time. All right. Krieger119 writes, Aaron said made famous by Nicolas Cage. Well, I mean, for as far as in the movie world goes, she knows Ghost Rider was a comic book character before that, but as far as the movie role goes. Mr. J writes, but you're not wrong, Krieger. Mr. J writes, I was wondering if you've heard anything about the Deathstroke character. Haven't heard anything since his cameo in Justice League. Maybe another cameo. Thanks. I think it's done. I think Joe Manganiello, I don't think we're going to see him as Deathstroke again. I think that whole thing's done. I think, listen, when they made Justice League, there was a lot of plans. There were a lot of plans, but a lot of them got thrown into the dumpster when Justice League came out and was, at the time, the lowest grossing DCEU movie of all time. Yeah, when that happens, you lose a lot of plans. They certainly did have a plan at some point to use Joe moving forward, but I suspect, now, let's be clear here. It's not like Walter Hamada emailed me and said, hey, Mr. Campea, just so you know, we're not going to use Death. It's not like that has happened. There's nobody as official has said that, I believe. But, I mean, I'd be surprised if we saw him again. I think that Deathstroke idea is probably gone at this point, which is too bad because Joe would have been great as it. Let's see. Santiago Villa writes, Feige, the next Alan Horn. Well, I've been saying that for months. I think months. Anyway, I've been saying that for a while. I really do believe Alan Horn is grooming Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige is not a director or film writer or anything. He is a film executive. That's what he is. And that is the ultimate position what Alan Horn has. For those of you who don't know, Alan Horn is Kevin Feige's boss. Alan Horn, like Bob Iger, is the head of all things Disney, not just movies, theme parks, merchandising, the whole empire of Disney, Bob Iger runs. And the guy he has running all the movies, that includes Lucasfilm, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, everything, is Alan Horn. Alan Horn runs everything movie related when it comes to Disney. That means he is Kathleen Kennedy's boss. That means he's Pixar's boss. That means he's Kevin Feige's boss. I believe, and I've said this for a while, that they are grooming Kevin Feige to be the next Alan Horn. That Alan Horn, a lot of people forget, he was already retired. He'd retired like almost a decade ago. He retired. And then Bob Iger came along and said, hey, Alan, I need you to come out of retirement. I need you to come out of retirement. I need you to come and grow this powerhouse Disney, grow our Disney movie brand to the world's biggest powerhouse in entertainment. And that's what Alan Horn has done. And I think Kevin Feige is going to be the next guy. Again, I have no official word on that. I'm just saying that's what I believe is going to happen. All right, Darth Sidious writes, hi, Aaron and Chris, who are clearly not here right now. Have you ever heard of an animated series called Galactic Football? If you haven't, you can watch it on YouTube. Again, they're not here right now, unfortunately. I'm going to guess that Aaron probably hasn't. I'm going to guess that Chris has. She's pretty clued into most things animated, so I'm going to guess that she has. I don't know that for certain, though. All right, Alex writes, Jason Bateman is the butler. See, somebody else had mentioned that, too. I think after we talked about that on the show today, a few people mentioned on social media that they think he could be the butler character. That's actually not a bad guess, Alex. All right, Donald Mex writes, hey, John. Been a fan since the AMC days. Thank you so much, Donald. My top 5 martial arts films. Nice. Number 1, Return of the Dragon. Number 2, Fist of Legend. I love Fist of Legend. Number 3, Ong Bak with Tony Jaa. Love Ong Bak. Number 4, Chocolate, Jija Yanin. You know what? I'm not familiar with that one. I'm not familiar with Chocolate. Anyway, 5, Ip Man, the trilogy. I love Ip Man. And John, check out The Protector with Tony Jaa. Oh, I've seen The Protector. I'm not as big of a fan of the Protector as I am of Ong Bak. I mean, Ong Bak, and honestly, Ong Bak is not that good of a movie, But as a martial arts thing and this crazy stuff, see, for a little while, a lot of people forget, and for those of you who don't know the name Tony Jaa, Tony Jaa came out of nowhere, at least for a lot of us in the North American audience, came out of nowhere with this film called Ong Bak. And it's not a good movie, but as a spectacle, it's crazy because he was kind of being positioned as the next Jackie Chan, this wild martial artist who did all of his own crazy stunts. Like everything you see him doing, it's not special effects. He's doing it. And it's nutty. It's absolutely nutty. And if Tony Jaa, who I believe popped up in the Fast and Furious 7, I believe. I think Tony Jaa was in Fast and Furious 7. I think he was one of the bad guys. Anyway, if Tony Jaa had been able to get a handle on the English language earlier, I think he would have become a big action star in the North American market. I think he would have become a big action star, but he struggled with the English language for a long time, which, hey, listen, how many of us can speak a second language? Not many. So it's really too bad. I would include films like Revenge of the Ninja. I mean, Revenge of the Ninja has got to be on there. Actually, a lot of the old ninja movies would have to be in there for me as well. So I would put those on the list as well. All right, thanks for that, Donald. Nice list, friend. All right, I love cats. Flame Paw writes, 1 of 2. Super excited for Ford v Ferrari. Looks great. It does look great. My top 10 Christian Bale movies. Number 10, Reign of Fire. Number 9, Equilibrium. Number 8, The Prestige. Number 7, 3:10 to Yuma. Number 6, American Psycho. Number 5, The Batman Trilogy. Number 4, American Hustle. He was really good in American Hustle. Number 3, The Machinist. Number 2, The Fighter. 1, Out of the Furnace, which is really good. I have not seen. Oh, I was going to ask. It's funny. I was going to ask, what about Vice and Hostels and The Big Short? But you haven't seen those ones. So I admire, I respect the fact that you didn't put those on your list. Yeah, listen. If there was a Hall of Fame, if there was a Hollywood Hall of Fame, which they should make a Hollywood Hall of Fame, I would make the argument that even though Christian Bale is still really young, what is he, like 50, 51? So, hey, Google, how old is Christian Bale?
Christian Bale is 45 years old.
Jeez, he's even younger than he's 45. Even though he's super young for this business, I would make the argument that he would be in the Hall of Fame. If he ended his career right now, he's already got a Hall of Fame career. Vice, Hostels, Big Short, American Hustle, The Machinist, The Fighter, the Batman films, American Psycho, I mean, Prestige. The dude has already got a Hall of Fame-like resume. So it's pretty impressive. Anyway, Mass Effect Fan 101 writes, top 5 favorite fantasy movies. Ooh, fantasy, I like that. In no particular order. The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, The Princess Bride, Willow and I love your list, Mass Effect. Love it. Love it. It's like I would have to sit down for a day and think about a top 5, but I'll tell you what, every one of those films would be in my contenders list for a top 5. I love all of those ones. I love that you put Dark Crystal in there. I love that you put The Princess Bride in there. Nice list. And a different one. No one's come up with just doing a fantasy list before. I like that. All right. We already did I've Cats, that's right. Collins E. writes, when do you think the Feige developed Star Wars will be released? Long time. Disney announced 3 films through 2026. Perhaps one of those December slots. I think all 3 of those films, to be honest with you, are for the Benioff and Weiss movies. So considering all those, I believe, are for the Benioff and Weiss movies. Now, I don't think it'll be after 2026. So I believe that they'll in between one of those Benioff and Weiss. I don't think it'll be one of the dates they've already announced. I think those dates are all for the Game of Thrones guys' Star Wars movies. So it'll probably be in between those somewhere, but not next year, not 2021. Probably at the earliest. My guess, the earliest would be 2023. That's my guess. I still think it would be a number of years off. So we're still a ways away, but I don't think it'll be after 2026, and I don't think it's one of the already announced dates. I think those dates are for the Benioff and Weiss films. But who knows? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough, I think. All right, next up. Christopher James writes, Disney has lost confidence in it's not Catherine Kennedy, it's Kathleen Kennedy. Direction with Star Wars. No, they haven't. That is the only reason why they decided to obtain Kevin Feige's services. Well, you're wrong on 2 counts. Number 1, they actually, I don't know why people ignore the news. They just re-upped her. Disney just re-upped her. They just gave her a contract extension, as a matter of fact. So that is like getting a contract, whether it's in sports or whatever, being given a contract extension is the ultimate vote of confidence. Now, whether that confidence is well placed or not is up for debate. But Disney just gave her a contract extension. So any conspiracy theorizing that they're looking to get rid of her at this point is completely dumb. It's a completely dumb thought. They just gave her that. Remember there was those rumors around Disney's looking to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, and then like 4 months later, oh, they just gave Kathleen Kennedy contract extension. So much for that. So again, I'm not, whether or not that confidence they've shown in her is warranted or not, that's up for debate. That's up for debate. But it's just not true that they've lost faith in her. They just gave her an extension. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is up for each of us as individuals to determine whether we feel that's a good or a bad thing. But there's that. And Kevin Feige, they did not go out and get Kevin Feige's services. Kevin Feige is a lifelong, like, remember, he loves Marvel. He's always loved Marvel. But his first love is Star Wars. And he's always wanted to make a Star Wars film. His whole life he's wanted to make a Star Wars film. So when you're Kevin Feige now, you have the clout at Disney to go, hey, I would like to make a Star Wars film. When you're Kevin Feige, you got the clout just to go knock on Kathleen Kennedy's door directly, go in and sit with her and say, I want to pitch a Star Wars idea. And Alan Horn giving his blessing, say, yeah, you guys go make a movie together. That's what's happening. It wasn't Disney that went out and said, can you come make a movie with this guy? That's not what happened. Feige wanted to make this movie, had an idea for a movie. He went to Kathleen Kennedy, pitched it to her. They went to Alan Horn. Alan Horn gave it his papal blessing, and away they go. So, I mean, here's the thing, Christopher. We can say whatever we want to say. I mean, I can sit here and say, Kevin Feige had a magic genie appear to him and said, you need to do a Star Wars movie, and that's why he went to do a Star Wars movie. I mean, I can say that. It doesn't match up with the facts and it doesn't match up with reality, but I can say it. And we can say things like, the reason Disney did this is because of this, this, and this. But the problem is, if you're going to say stuff like that, you got to double check to see if that lines up with the facts. And the facts are, whether we like the facts or not, the facts are that Disney just recently re-upped Kathleen Kennedy. They gave her a new deal. They gave her an extension. She's got a couple more years on that deal. Now, whether or not she's still around 4 or 5 years from now, oh, that's another issue altogether. But for now, she's not going anywhere. She just got her new deal. Anyway, V. Rodriguez writes, my top 10 movies of all time, today at least. Yeah, because these shift, don't they? Unbreakable, that's a nice one. 8 Mile, I've not seen 8 Mile put on anybody's list before. Speaking of miles, The Green Mile, hold my hand, boss. Poetic Justice, Fight Club, Good Will Hunting, love that movie. It's Not Your Fault. Do the Right Thing. Nice little Spike Lee in there. Collateral, Pulp Fiction, Dark Knight. I like the list, V. That's a very, very different list from what we've seen from a lot of people. I like the list. Nice one. Well done, sir. All right, Suthius writes, you're going to love this, Mr. C. Supergirl's new suit is nano. Oh, don't even talk to me about Supergirl. Is that true? Is her new suit nanotechnology? That just makes it even better. Oh my God. Suthius writes, Designated Survivor is good. Prefer season 1 though. I really like Designated Survivor. It got 2 seasons on Netflix. Yeah, it got 2 seasons on Netflix. And then got a 2 seasons on Fox. And then it got canceled on Fox. Netflix picked it up. Netflix ran it for 1 more season and then they killed it off, which is too bad. I like the show. I liked Designated Survivor. I didn't like, and you know what? I like season 3. I think I like season 3 more than season 2. Season 1 was probably the best season, I agree, but I still thought it was a solid show, and I was disappointed when I found out it got canceled. Paul Iaola writes, hey, John. How do you feel about possibly Coogler and Michael B. Jordan doing Star Wars? Just so you know, Paul, I don't do. What do you think of X actor doing X movie? Or what do you think of X director doing X movie? I don't do those questions. What do you think about this actor playing this movie? Unless it's an actual thing, like Kevin Feige is in fact producing a Star Wars movie. Look, my philosophy on this stuff is always the same, Paul. It's, I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is it, if we're talking about directors, is it a talented director? And if it's a talented director, then I'm all for it. And is it a talented actor? If it's a talented actor, then I'm all for it. So if they were to announce Ryan Coogler, well, I think Ryan Coogler's a very good director. So sure, I mean, there's 20 or 30 other guys they could announce that I'd be just as happy with. And Michael B. Jordan's a very good actor, so I'd be totally happy with that. But there are 20, 30, 40 other actors I'd be totally happy with as well. All I care about is, are the people you're saying good directors and good actors? If you are, then I'm fine with it. But as far as getting into the specific theoretical discussion, what would you think about this director? What do you think about X director directing X movie? I don't really go into those because it's just too much. It's too much air. You know, it's just too much air. As long as it's a good director and a good actor, I'm totally good with it. All right, Eric Watson writes, Kevin Feige should champion a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I disagree. I don't think that would, to be straight up honest with you, I've said this before, I do not think that would make for a good movie. Made for a great game, I don't think it would make for a good movie. Not to mention, it's completely not canon. It's completely out of canon and would completely break canon. So I think that one's disqualified pretty much right out of the gate. However, what I am down for is anything in Old Republic era. Like, use the setting of Old Republic and create a new story within Old Republic. Maybe even cherry pick one or two things from the Legends stuff in the Old Republic and incorporate them, but create a new story, because Old Republic is so far removed from the traditional era of Star Wars that we're familiar with that it's like making a whole new universe. And if they did something like that, which I suspect Benioff and Weiss are doing, I don't know that, just to be clear. I suspect Benioff and Weiss are going Old Republic. And so doing movies in the era of the Old Republic, I'm totally down for. Doing movie versions of games, nah, I'm not interested in that personally. But the era, totally down for the era. All right, Josh's Bizarre Adventure writes, which series do you prefer, Dexter or Californication? Two of my all-time favorites, and both were flagships for Showtime. They were. Love them both. Two very different shows. I loved Californication. Like, obviously, when a lot of people think of David Duchovny, they think of X-Files, and I get that. When I think of David Duchovny, I actually think Return to Me, and I think Californication. The movie Return to Me, which he's amazing in, and the show Californication, which he's amazing in. I love that show. I love that show. Actually, if you weren't familiar with it, the girl, if you saw Bumblebee, the actress who played Haley Steinfeld's mom, she was one of the lead actresses in Californication. They called her Sexy Smurf. It's crazy. Anyway, I loved Californication, but I got to go Dexter. Got to go Dexter. I know the final season left a lot to be desired for a bunch of people, and that's fine, but that removed, Dexter was an incredible show. So is Californication, but I would actually, personally, I'd give the edge to Dexter, but don't be fooled. Don't think that diminishes the absolute love I have for Californication. I love that show, but I'll give the slight edge to Dexter. Love them both, though. All right, Eric Robinson writes, don't know if you've talked about it, but thoughts on Chappelle's Netflix special on Netflix. I liked it a lot. It was very funny. And you know, here's the thing. I believe, using common sense, I'm the kind of person I believe we got to be able to laugh at everything. And personally, I feel like we all become more connected when we laugh at ourselves with each other. And, you know, I watched Chappelle's thing, and I thought Chappelle, it was biting, it was edgy, but, you know, I never once thought he crossed a line. I didn't. And to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, look, when you got somebody that you're tight with, you're like, you stupid idiot, or what's up, asshole, or something like that, right? Like when you're tight with somebody, you make jokes at each other's expense and things like that. And it's just it's a sign that we are comfortable with each other, right? And maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not saying other people need to see it the way I see it, and I'm not saying the way I see it is absolutely the right way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I watched Chappelle's special, and he's making fun of everybody. He makes fun of white people and black people and gay people and straight people, and he makes fun of everybody. But I took it, and again, don't jump on me here, don't at me. I'm not saying that my way, the way I perceived it, is automatically the correct way to perceive it. I'm just saying this is how I perceived it. To me, it felt like we finally become that we are getting to the place, hopefully we're heading in this direction, and Chappelle is trying to push us to the place where we're so comfortable with each other, we can laugh at each other. And we can laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other and make jokes at each other's expense because, hopefully, we're getting more comfortable with each other. And that's how I interpreted it. I never once interpreted anything that he said as being mean or mean-spirited. I just watched it and thought it was really funny. And I'll give you one example. There's a joke he makes about the transgender community, which I thought was done very, again, I'm not a member of the transgender community, so I'm speaking from a straight white guy's point of view. But he was telling jokes, but you got to understand too, my wife, who is Filipino, she has a little bit of Chinese DNA in her. One of her grandparents is Chinese, so she's got a bit of Chinese. She's made up a little bit of Chinese as well. So anyway, he makes this one joke, for those of you who've seen it, and he goes, imagine if we did it a little bit differently. He said, what if me as a black guy started talking like and acting like a Chinese guy all the time and just said, but this is how I feel inside, right? And I'm like, I start laughing hysterically. And I'm like, what did Ann think about that joke? And I look over at my wife. She rolled off the couch. She was laughing so hard. She rolled off the couch. She was laughing so hard. And to me, and maybe I'm wrong. Again, I don't at me. I'm admitting maybe I'm wrong. But I took the humor in a way that felt like a bunch of friends in the room making fun of each other. And whereas some people see it, and I'm not dissing anybody who saw it differently than me. Let's be clear about that. Whereas some people out there saw what he was saying as mean-spirited and divisive, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying I watched it and it hit me in a way that it was like, we're all together in the same room and we're all feeling comfortable enough with each other right now that, and this can build bonds, that we're joking about each other. And I just felt like that was, I'll be honest with you, I kind of felt like Chappelle's comedy special was unifying. And maybe I'm nuts. But I watched that and I came away with a sense that his special was very unifying. We were laughing at ourselves. We were laughing at each other. We were just, I got to tell you though, my favorite part was the Juicy Smoulier. Very famous French actor, Juicy Smoulier, Justice for Juicy. You guys are going, what the hell are you talking about? But if you saw the special, you know what I mean. And again, I'm not saying I'm right and anybody else who's looking at it is wrong, not in the least. I'm just saying that's how I saw it. And I felt good about it. And granted, I admit I'm coming from the perspective of a straight white dude, straight heterosexual white dude. I get it, but I can only tell you what my experience was. I mean, you can take it for what it is, but I found it to be kind of unifying. Well, but maybe I'm crazy. All right, Seabass 83 writes, hey, John, love your show and enjoy listening to your team movie fandom. Thank you so much, Seabass. Thank you so much. I rarely get to listen to the live shows because of my travel and work schedule. The Abyss is a personal favorite. God, I love The Abyss. I love The Abyss. That movie is, I still remember, it's funny. I remember the first time as a much younger kid watching that and being so amazed. Like what they did in taking us underwater to truly a different world. They took us underwater into a different world, the likes of which I would feel like if I was watching a sci-fi space fantasy movie, They just did such a great job of taking us to another world, to another place. It's yet another huge win for James Cameron. The cast was fantastic. The story was fantastic. I love that movie, man. And it doesn't matter if you watch the show live, whether you're live. That's the great thing about YouTube. We can stream it live, but then it's there for you to watch afterwards. So thank you, Seabass, for sending that in. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for being part of our community, whether you're here when we do it live or not. It's always good to have you, man. All right. Wolverine 38 writes, over under 60%. The Joker movie makes 90 million opening weekend. I'll go over. I'm not willing to say 90% or anything like that, but at 60%, I'll take the over on that action. ZOMG Ruler writes, Nigel can sub for Aaron a day or two. No, I don't think so. Nigel, for those of you who don't know who ZOMG Ruler is talking about, Nigel is Kaori's boyfriend. He's the play-by-play announcer on WWE's NXT. He's a former wrestler himself. Nice guy. I like. He comes over, plays good poker player too. By the way, Nigel comes over, plays some poker. He's a good poker player. But no, I don't think I'll have Nigel on. Nigel is not a big movie guy. Nigel's not a big movie guy. And you kind of need to be kind of a big movie television kind of person to do this show. So unfortunately, no, I don't think I'll be having Nigel on. But if we do some live streaming of a bunch of us playing Mario Kart, you'll probably see him pop up. Actually, we did do a live stream. It didn't go very well. We were having streaming issues, but still, we did a live stream a couple of weeks ago with a bunch of us playing Mario Party, and Nigel was there. So you might see him pop up on that, but probably not on the John Campea Show, though. All right. Xander Bridgman writes, Rise of Skywalker is the last in the saga. I'm so disappointed. It should have been a more cohesive trilogy. Should be a social event bigger than Endgame. I don't know about that. I think that's unrealistic. Look, the Force Awakens made over $2 billion. To expect, like, notwithstanding The Last Jedi, to expect that it would have gotten to $3 billion when it's only like one movie a year, as opposed to the MCU, which has been doing multiple films for years, for 10 years, 23 films in the last number of years, blah, 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 building, just to one specific thing. I don't think under any circumstances a third Star Wars movie was going to cross $3 billion. I just don't think it was going to happen regardless. I certainly don't think it's going to happen with The Rise of Skywalker now. I'm one of the guys that I do think it was a cohesive universe. I think it was cohesive. It worked for me. But you know, The Last Jedi is also my least favorite of all the new Star Wars films, to be honest with you, as well. But I don't think in any universe, in any way, it was going to be over $3 billion. I don't see that as being a realistic thought at all. Xander also writes, Kevin Feige will go down in history, but if he made Star Wars the juggernaut it should be, he would be a legend for making the two biggest cinematic universes. Well, remember, Kevin is only coming to do a movie. He's just coming to produce a movie. He's not taking over Lucasfilm. Even whenever Kathleen Kennedy decides to go, he's not taking it over. That would just be a lateral move for him. He wants to go up. I think he's going to take over Alan Horn's job at some point and oversee all of Disney film. I think Bob Iger believes in him. I think Alan Horn believes in him. I think they're going to elevate him that way. But if you seriously want to cement, like, not just Hall of Fame, you want to cement Kevin Feige's face in the, stone marble grand walls and the halls of Hollywood history and amongst all the fandom, leave the MCU, go to Warner Brothers. You want to go down undisputedly as the greatest god in geekdom of all time? You leave Marvel and you go over to Warner Brothers, take over DC, and do at DC what he did at Marvel, and create a powerhouse of a cinematic world there that gets the same, maybe not exactly the same, but at least close to the same success as the MCU has had under his leadership. You do that, you're not just the king of all geekdom, you are the god of all geekdom forever and ever. Amen. He becomes the god of geekdom if he does that. Again, though, the thing standing in the way of that is that going from president of Marvel to president of DC Entertainment would just be a lateral move. It's not a promotion. It's just a lateral move. I don't know that a guy like Kevin Feige right now is in a position to just want to make a lateral move. But if he's thinking legacy, if he's like, I'm going to go down as royalty in the geek world, but I could go down as a god in the geek world, then he should look at going over to Warner Brothers. But again, it's a lateral move, and I don't think he's looking at doing lateral moves. But wouldn't it be something? All right. Keith Lamoureux writes, I don't think I've worked from 12 to 2:30 in 2 years. I don't know what that means, Keith. Jake Ayer writes, opera tonight, The Damnation of Faust. Man sells his soul to the... all ends in tears. These arrangements usually do. That's the Matthew Vaughn film. That's the one with James Bond, with Daniel Craig. Matthew Vaughn directs it. It's going to kill me. But I'm pretty, because I can see the lines being said, and why can I remember the name of the director, but I cannot remember the name of the movie? Anyway, it's the Matthew Vaughn movie with Daniel Craig. I believe that's it, at any rate. Tell me in the comment section if I'm right or wrong, and please tell me in the comment. I mean, I'll look it up when the show's done, but tell me in the comment section what it was. All right. And the final question today, and then we are all caught up, comes to us from Storm Chaser 78, who writes, "Hello, John. John Wick 4 ETA is May 21st, 2021. Very cool. Is there any word on the new Bill and Ted?" I mean, they're finished shooting it. I know that. Listen, I gotta be one of the only people alive that I am not all that interested in Bill and Ted. I'm not. Listen, like everybody else, I love the first one. We all love the first one, right? Obviously. I really wasn't all that big on the second one. And quite frankly, a Bill and Ted 3 is like 15 years too late, in my opinion. I just don't have a lot of interest for it right now. Now, when the first pieces of promo start coming out and the first trailers come out, that could change really quick. You put out great trailers, that could change my mind really quick, and it could make me excited. Right now, I gotta admit, I'm really not all that interested. So to be honest with you, no, I haven't heard anything new other than the fact that they're wrapped production. They've done shooting. It's done. Well, I mean, the movie's not done. They still have all the post-production to do, but the shooting of the movie is done. They've wrapped on it. And I'm not sure other than that. But to be fair, I haven't actually been keeping my ear to the ground on it either. So as soon as we know anything more, though, we will definitely let you guys know. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the companion videos. Thank you guys so much for sending in those questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel while you were doing it. And we, all of us here on the John Campea YouTube channel, thank you for that. Myself, Aaron, Chris, Robert Meyer Burnett, fact checker Jonathan Ray, we all thank you for supporting us that way and for giving us great fun things to talk about. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow morning, the John Campea Show returns with me and Robert Meyer Burnett. We got a bunch of things we're going to be talking about. Hopefully you guys will come along and join us for the ride as well. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.